somebody being physically attractive to you is just something that's to be appreciated. It's not something to be valued. What we do is we judge it and we value it. Now, when you let go of the judgments, judging somebody because they're physically attractive, and judging another person because we think they're not physically attractive, and saying this person's worth more, this person's better, you let go of that entirely. Now then your feelings of anxiety start going away because you stop trying to impress people, right? You stop believing that somebody's more valuable than another person, because believing that one person's more valuable than another person at the same time implies that somebody's more valuable than you and somebody else is less valuable than you. And that doesn't feel good. We're people and we don't like doing that in our hearts. We kind of do this with our minds, but it never makes us feel good. So when we let go of those judgment calls, we let go of that value hierarchy ranking, we start to feel much better. We start to treat people equally. We start to treat people with compassion. We start to treat people fairly. We start to really open up to who the person really is. Physical beauty is something that's very difficult to sum up in just words. Immediately, if we hear you say something, well, you talk about a woman, you say, well, she's very beautiful, she's physically attractive. Well, that immediately puts a certain image in our mind. But the very image that gets cast in our mind is itself a fallacy. That's not enough, because that image that we have in our head doesn't really capture what it means when we say that someone's beautiful, when we find someone to be beautiful, even when we find somebody to be physically attractive. So let's give as an example, take a picture of somebody, right? A woman who's very beautiful, you've never met her before. And you look at her and you say, it's a very beautiful image, physically attractive. Now, when you meet this person in real life, you start to see that, oh, well, actually, she's a little bit different than in that picture. Actually, she's a lot different in that picture. Now, you may find her more physically attractive. You may find her less physically attractive than in the picture. But somehow she's different. Something's changed. Something's deepened a little bit. And we all know this to be true. The more relationships you've been in, the more girls you've been with, the more girls you know, the more you start to see this, the more you start to see that, well, my perception of what I think is attractive, my belief of what I think is beautiful is something that deepens with every year. It's something that deepens with every connection, every relationship, and every woman that I get to know on a deeper level. It's something that's very difficult to describe in words. And this is the reason why you see this picture of somebody, you say she's beautiful, and then you see her in real life, you get to know her a little bit, you exchange some words, you interact with her, and it changes your idea of who she is. It changes your perception of who she is. It changes the way it makes you feel on the inside. And that's because when we look at a picture, what we see is physical form, right? We see the physical form of somebody. Now, whether that's her body or her face or whatever, it doesn't matter. We say it's very beautiful. Now, when you see somebody in real life, what you start to see is something a little deeper, and that is what comes before the physical form. What comes before the physical form is physical expression. And physical expression is something that kind of, it fills out what our perception is of beauty. It makes it a little bit more complete, it makes it more mysterious, and it makes it more fulfilling. But physical expression itself, now, that is something that is the consequence of emotional expression, of mental expression, spiritual expression, if we want to call it that. That's something that is happening and that is expressing itself in a physical form right now. And the reality is that what you're perceiving to be somebody who is in front of you, who you're connecting with, you say that she's very beautiful, she's physically attractive. What that really is, it's that entire totality of physical form, physical expression, mental expression, emotional expression, all wrapped into one, all expressing itself in one kind of inextricably intertwined dance happening right and expressing itself right now in this very moment. And that's why it's so difficult to really conceptualize physical beauty, and it's so hard to appreciate physical beauty unless you understand the depth of what all of that really entails. Because to understand the many layers and where all of this comes from and where the expression itself is happening, it means that you have to see that in yourself. Because when you perceive all of these things, what it's actually happening is that it's a perception that is reverberating within you. And it's your own heart's longing for its own mental, physical, emotional expression in the moment. And when you perceive this in another person, it's really that reverberation, that echo that's happening within you, and you're kind of strumming that, you're strumming that beauty string of your own heart. And that's the feeling of appreciation. You see this playing out, especially in a longer term relationship. And that's really the beauty of a long relationship, is that you are going to get bored. I'll tell you this right now, I've been in quite a few relationships, and if you have been, you understand this. If you haven't been, then you will at some point, is that you're going to get bored of somebody's physical appearance pretty quickly. And you're going to get bored of somebody's physical expression pretty quickly. And all of these things. But what you will not get bored of is what we just talked about, that dance happening, this interplay of expression, of emotion, of form, all of these things happening and unfolding in every moment. Because what you're truly attracted to isn't the form, not the expression. It's the course of all of these things unfolding in the present moment. And it tells a story. And with every story that's told, with every moment that you spend appreciating this expression and appreciating your heart's own longing for its own expression, it's creating a story. And you can fall deeper and deeper and deeper into love with every passing moment. And that's why falling in love and being with somebody in the long term isn't something to get bored of, but it's actually something to fall deeper in love with. It's actually something to appreciate more and more and more, because the depth of the beauty that you perceive enriches itself in every passing moment.
I just have all this repressed sexual energy, and I have to hold back from expressing myself. Right? That's the typical way that a lot of us go about our day, or we go on a date and say, okay,